An attractive young woman had finished taking golf lessons from the club pro. She had just started playing her first round of golf when she got a bee sting. The pain was so intense she decided to return to the clubhouse. Her golf pro saw her come into the clubhouse and asked, "Why are you back so early? What's wrong?" "I was stung by a bee," was her reply. "Where?" he asked. "Between the first and second hole." He nodded knowingly and said, "Then your stance is too wide." 3 vampires are sitting at a bar. Bartender asked the first one what he wants. "I think I'll have a glass of blood." "Okay, what will you have?" He asked the second vampire. "That sounds good, I'll have a glass of blood too." "And what can I get for you?" he asked the third vampire. "I'll have a glass of plasma," said the third vampire. "Okay," says the bartender, "that's 2 bloods and a bloodlight then." 2 men jump out of a plane. One is holding a budgerigard, the other is holding a parrot and a shotgun. As they fall away from the plane, the man holding the budgie lets it go. A moment later, the man with the parrot lets go his bird and takes a lame shot at it with the shotgun. They both hit the floor. In their dying moments, one turns to the other and says, "I don't think much of this budgie jumping." The other dying man turns to him and replies, "No, I don't think much of this high-altitude parachuting." While robbing a home, a burglar hears someone say, "Jesus is watching you." To his relief, he realizes it is just a parrot mimicking something it had heard. The burglar asks the parrot, "What's your name?" The parrot says, "Moses." The burglar goes on to ask what kind of a person names their parrot Moses. The parrot replies, "The same kind of person that names his Rottweiler Jesus." A grad student, a postdoc, and a professor are walking through a city park and they find an antique oil lamp. They rub it and a genie comes out in a puff of smoke. The genie says, "I usually only grant 3 wishes, so I'll give each of you just one." Me first, says the grad student. "I want to be in the Bahamas driving a speedboat with a gorgeous woman who sunbathed topless." Poof, he's gone. Me next, says the postdoc. "I want to be in Hawaii relaxing on the beach with a professional hula dancer on one side and a Mai Tai on the other." Poof, he's gone. "You're next," the genie says to the professor. The professor says, "I want those guys back in the lab after lunch." A man on a business trip is staying in a high-rise hotel with a bar on the top floor. After checking in and seeing his room, he decides to go upstairs. There's only one other patron in the bar. The businessman orders a drink and then watches in surprise as the other patron quickly eats an orange, chugs his beer, and jumps out the window. A minute later, the man returns. The businessman is shocked to see him again eat an orange, chug his beer, and then jump out the window. When the man returns a third time, the businessman decides he can do this too. He eats an orange, chugs his beer, then jumps out the window to his death. The bartender turns to the man and says, "You know, Superman, you're a real jerk when you're drunk." A man took his Rottweiler to the vet and said to him, "My dog's cross-eyed. Is there anything you can do for it?" "Well," said the vet, "let's have a look at him." So he picks the dog up by the ears and has a good look at its eyes. "Well," says the vet, "I'm going to have to put him down." Just because he's cross-eyed? Said the man. No, because he's heavy, said the vet. A man walks into a bar and notices 2 pieces of beef nailed to the ceiling. He asks the barman why they're there. It's a competition. If you can climb up there and get those bits of meat down, you'll get free drinks all night. If you try and fail, then you'll have to buy a round for everyone in the pub. Do you fancy having a go? The man has a long, hard look at the ceiling before saying, "No, I'll just have a pint, thanks. The stakes are too high." A shipwreck survivor washes up on the beach of an island and is immediately surrounded by a group of native warriors. "I'm done for," the man cries in despair. "No, you're not," comes a booming voice from the heavens. "Listen carefully and do exactly as I say. Grab the spear from the one who is beside you and shove it through the heart of the chief." The man does so, and the remainder of the band stare in disbelief. "Now what?" the man asks the heavens. "Now you are done for." A man was in a terrible car accident and his manhood was mangled and torn from his body. His doctors assured him that modern medicine could give him back his manhood, but that his insurance wouldn't cover the surgery, since it was considered cosmetics. The doctor said the cost would be $3,500 for small, $6,500 for medium, $14,000 for large. The man was sure he would want a medium or large, but the doctor urged him to talk it over with his wife before he made any decision. The man called his wife on the phone and explained their options. The doctor came back into the room and found the man looking dejected. "Well, what have the 2 of you decided?" asked the doctor. The man answered, "She'd rather have a new kitchen." A man goes to a restaurant and orders a chicken dish. By the time the food is ready and he's about to eat, the waiter comes back and says, "Sir, I'm afraid there has been a mistake. You see, that police officer who is sitting at the next table is a regular customer of ours, and he usually orders the chicken dish. The problem is, this is the last chicken in the house. I'm afraid I'll have to take this dish to him and arrange for another dish for you." The guy gets really upset and refuses to give up his food. The waiter walks over to the other table and explains the situation to the officer. A few minutes later, the officer walks over to the man's table and says, "Listen, and listen good. That is my chicken you're about to eat, and I'll warn you, whatever you do to that chicken, I'll do the same to you. You pull out one of its legs, I'll pull out one of yours. You break one of its wings, I'll break one of your arms." The man calmly looks at the chicken, then sticks his middle finger in the bird's rectum, pulls it out and licks it. He then gets up, drops his pants, bends over and says, "Go ahead."